And we're back for Lakers pregame right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's the Lakers and the Bucks coming up here in just a little bit. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break if you want to join the fun and the chat. Joe has said he will be heading up that part of it. Plus, don't forget postgame with the Lakers Fast Break podcast coming up right after the game. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching this. You truly appreciate it. Like and subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. And also become a member today for just $2.99. You get for each month at $2.99. You get emojis, badges. I'm going to make a Stone Hansen emoji. I think I'm going to do. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and make a Stone Hansen emoji. That'll add in when I can. But yes, you see, you get shout outs down below, badges, emojis, and special notifications that our regular individuals out there on the channel don't get. You get exclusive access to it first, including our season predictions. You got Alfred Esmonds, you got Legend 350s, and today I dropped in Stone Hansen's season predictions. But it's only our members that get a chance to see it first and foremost. Everyone else doesn't get to see it until next week, or maybe later. We'll see. But go ahead and become a member today for just $2.99 a month. And also giving a shout out to Joe Sorrell, Oxide247 at LakersBall.com, and of course Simblades with a Y.com, Lakerholics crew at Lakerholics.com, Empire Jeff TV. Always great to have him part of the show and in the chat. Of course, also as well, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo! Also as well, of course, Lakers in 5. All those great channels. Please support John McCalians as well. And of course, John Costa's Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, which we're on right now. Make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. And please like and subscribe to us. We need all the help we can get right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, the Lakers and Bucks, like I said, coming up here in just a bit. You can join in all the fun on our simulcast. Hopefully, if everything works right here, the Lakers Fast Break. It'll be coming up at 5 p.m. So join Joe. I'll be in and out, but I will be on it. I don't know if Stone is more than welcome to come back and be on if he wants to. That's up to him. But speaking of Stone, he is back with us once again. It is so great to have him here. I know. I get in the chat. Where's Stone? Where's Stone? Where's Stone? I get from Joe off the air. Where's Stone? Where's Stone? Where's Stone? That's all I hear. So I okay, I'll reach out. And he responded back. It is at report_court on Twitter. There is no one better on the NBA draft than the man I'm talking to right here. It is Stone Hansen. Stone, great to have you here. Looking forward to a great conversation on the Lakers, my friend. How you been doing?
Doing well. A lot of things happening, life things, and just sort of taking a hiatus away from basketball for the time being after the draft. But yeah, I'm excited to be back. Thanks for having me on again. Excited to talk about Lakers. I haven't talked to anyone about the Lakers in a while, or about basketball in general in a while. So it's good to be back in the seat talking about it.
All you need to know, anyways, is Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, and that's it. That's all. That's
Yeah, I mean, you know more than me at this point. I haven't really watched any college or high school basketball yet.
They're already doing the 2025 mock drafts, and I'm just like, this is way too soon, guys. This is way too soon. Just slow down. Let these kids go through some college games first before you decide to go ahead and mock them and put them at a position. I know Ace Bailey and Cooper Flag, they're 1-2, however way you want to slice it. I get that, but everybody else, let them develop. Let them play this year at their respective college levels or European levels and go ahead from there. But my friend, it's great to have you here. It is the Lakers and the Bucks tonight. We haven't got an official word on whether or not that the complaining LeBron. Okay, he said, okay, we just got it now 4 minutes ago. JJ Redick said LeBron and AD are playing. Vincent, Max Christie, and Reddish, get this, Stone, will be on a minutes limit. Okay, whatever. Austin Reeves is out. Redick says he has a bit of ankle soreness, and they thought it'd be good to give him a game of rest. So you just flew him over to Milwaukee to give him a game of rest. Absolutely. That sounds good. All right. Oh, and Jordan Goodwin also, who hasn't even played Of course, he's been getting a minute restrictions. He hasn't been getting any minutes, so he's got a minute restriction.
He's restricted to 0.
Exactly, just like Bronny will be playing instead. So, my friend, the Lakers again. We talked about this before you took your hiatus about the lack of inactivity or the lack of activity as far as the front office. Talking about exactly what they did and didn't do this off season. You've seen it matriculate out here though for a little bit as far as what they rolled out for training camp and also as well they've had for 2 preseason games. Heading into the 3rd preseason game, where do they stand in your eyes right now?
Um, as a team that is not serious about contending, I think that was evident when you're the same team that you were last year. And last year you're fighting for a play, and every team around you pretty much has gotten better. Um, I don't think this team is really looking to go to the end, and I think that would be okay if they were prioritizing, or they should prioritize the youth on the team. I'm not even a huge fan of most of the youth on their team, but when you're a team that is not going to go very far deep into the um, postseason, then I would think it's best to give guys like Hood Schifino, Christie, these younger guys that I'm not huge fans of, but I think that when you're in that sort of situation where you're not going to go far anyways, it just makes logical sense to give those guys minutes over guys that we already know who they are, like Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood. Like, we know who they are, and that's third-rate NBA players. So that's sort of how I'm approaching this season. I don't have any expectations. I don't really think we're going to go even to the play-in, but I think that if the Lakers approach this the right way, and they've talked about how they want to look towards the future, kind of, I think they do. I think they do want to go towards the future. They just don't want to give up LeBron and AD to do it, which is the best route, but goes against everything they stand for as far as treating their stars like royalty. But yeah, I think this is going to be a throwaway season in the long run.
So I ask you, my friend, tonight's game, you just heard the tweets that have been sent out in regards to Vincent, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Cam Reddish, and Jordan Goodwin being on a minutes restriction limit. I'm concerned because right now Max Christie is one of those players that's going to be coming off the bench that they are going to try and rely on early. This was one of the least productive benches in the NBA last year. I talked about it on last night's show. These guys do need all the minutes that they can get, and especially with Max Christie, who's going to be relied upon, Gabe Vincent, who's also because of his veteran, I guess because of he's a standard veteran, that comes in there. People have a ton of respect for him. He missed the entire season virtually last season. He should be getting back into shape and getting more minutes. It seems like the restriction limits is kind of defeating that purpose.
Yeah, in some ways, I think. I mean, of all 30 teams, I don't think a single one of them really takes the play in with any sort of seriousness. I think every team's kind of doing it just to get more in shape, get back into playing shape. I think it's hard to do that when you have limits, but you have training camps, you have practices. It doesn't overly concern me. And I mean, I think because of how I laid out how I'm approaching this season, I'm going to care a lot less about mistakes this year than I did last year, where I actually had some sort of expectation for the team headed into last year. This year, when mistakes are made, and I expect there to be mistakes, as there always is for any team, I'm going to care a lot less about them because it's not hindering a team that is trying to get to championship status. This is not a team that is going to be in that sort of that level with the Celtics, with the Knicks, with the Thunder. That's just not who this team is, and that's okay as long as they're doing the right thing, which is playing the younger guys. In the preseason, just like in summer league, I don't take too much away from either sort of circumstance. I don't think you can get a whole lot out of either. And I don't think it matters, to be honest. What more matters to me is what happens during the season. But like I said, even then, it's going to be a lot less amplified with the end goal for this team.
Flashback a year ago, like you said, you were higher on the team at that point in time as far as their prospects. Joe, myself, everyone on the panel that comes by on the show was higher on the Lakers this time last year. We've been accused of not being negative. You guys don't see things the right way. You guys don't see things like the other podcasts that are out there. We've been seeing it how we see it as far as realistically what the chances for the Lakers are this upcoming season. This time last year, we were very high. In fact, some of us, myself, had predicted the Lakers really to go far in the Western Conference. This year, not so much. So, obviously, like you said, the development of the young players like Max Christie, like Dalton Connect, like even Jay Just to a standpoint as well, is key to the future development of the Lakers beyond a LeBron AD existence. So, with that in mind, are these players, any of these players, future Lakers that you can build a team around? Because outside of Connect, I don't see anything that could be that possibility.
No, absolutely not. And I don't even really have expectations for these guys to no, for most of them to even be role players, guys that can play in NBA rotations. I don't think that they are that, but I think it just makes logical sense where if you're a team that's not going to go far, why wouldn't you give the guys that you spent significant capital on to, well, in some cases, significant capital to, um, develop them over guys that have been in the league for several years, like Wood, like Hayes, that we already know what they are. Like you're not getting anything new out of them by them playing a full season in full rotations. I would rather see guys like, Christie and Hood Schifino get those minutes, even though I don't think they're going to be very good players. But it makes more logical sense to me to play them when they're a little bit more of an unknown versus what the other guys I mentioned are. But I don't even really think Connect is that sort of franchise type player either. I think he's going to be a good player, but I wouldn't build my franchise around Connect either necessarily. I think he's a good player to have, and hopefully he has a solid rookie season. But he's not someone that I'm using as a building block for my franchise's future. I don't think.
Well, if that's the case, then what do the Lakers play for at this point in time? Because it sounds like, again, not just you, not just the entire panel, even the most optimistic of views that I've seen in recent days don't have the Lakers all that high. Okay, we get accused of this and that, and then okay, well, come back at us. What's your thoughts on Lakers? Oh, well, I picked them here. Well, that's not much higher than we picked them. So, okay, whatever. And if that's the case, what do you look forward to as far as this team? What goals should this team have? Because right now, in fact, Vegas, for one of the few times ever on the over-under win totals, the number they usually set lower so that the guys and gals from California that are Lakers fans can come on the weekends, week after week, and raise that bar higher. This year, they weren't even doing that, Stone. The number's gone down from 44.5 to 42.5 here at most sports books here in town. So the outlook is not good. So what are your goals in trying to go ahead and develop, especially like you said, with LeBron and AD on the team who you're probably not trading anytime soon?
Yeah, and that's the whole double-edged sword of the Lakers' approach with these stars is when you go into this sort of transitionary phase. I mean, we know what's next, right? LeBron's not going to stay here forever. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of passing of the torch on the team. And, AD might not want to be that. If LeBron leaves, he's to say AD doesn't want out. And if that's the case, like there's nobody yet to pass that torch to. So I think getting a jump start, like I had been calling for the past couple of years, is the best way to do it. Is moving them. They're not going to do that, obviously. So looking at this season, I'm just sort of hoping that the younger guys outperform my expectations, which are pretty low for most of them. And that's about really it, to be honest. The I don't I'm no longer in the camp of wanting to make some sort of superstar trade. I would rather build this thing from the ground up. I think that is the best way to go. I think that there's not really a superstar trade that is worth it to me, to get better chances, but not the best chances to contend. I think adding some sort of a third superstar, the Celtics, Knicks, and Thunder would all still probably be better teams than us, and you're relying heavily on health at that point, with an already team that is pretty depth limited. So I think build this thing from the ground up. I want to see a lot of coaching philosophies that are more predicated on modern NBA things from JJ Redick. That's probably the biggest thing I'll be looking for is, can he set some sort of foundational thing to build on once the Lakers do eventually go full-fledged into this transitionary state. Something where it's more motion-based. There's a lot of off-ball cutters. I think watching the coaching is probably going to be the biggest thing I'm looking at. The young guys, I'm hoping they take steps forward, but I don't have very high expectations outside of Connect, which even in his rookie year, I don't think I'm going to think is a huge year for him by any means. But I think that this is sort of the very first, we're not going to see it this season, but looking back in maybe 4 or 5 years, we're going to see this as the very first year that the Lakers started to transition into a rebuild versus the Lakers actually going, they're not fully into it yet, but I think they're setting the groundwork for it.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen at report_court. He is the man, the myth, the legend behind everything that he does for the NBA draft. Go ahead and check out what he's doing today by following him on the Twitter at report_court. I actually had it switched around. And thank you, CJ. A couple weeks ago, he said, I've been trying to find the Stone Hansen guy on Twitter, but guys, I can't find him. I looked at, oh crap. Got to go ahead and switch it back around. So it is at report_court on Twitter. I don't know how it got that whip mixed right, but okay. Anyways, need I digress? I didn't catch it for months, so my apologies on that. I want to ask you this, my friend, before we get into the family feelings part of the show, which Joe loves the most. JJ Redick, you mentioned him, and a lot more motion offense from what we've seen, a lot less isolation, a lot more ball movement, also as well, more pick and roll, which is what I would have liked to see with LeBron and AD, a lot of cutters, action, like you said, as far as is concerned. What do you continue to see with a rookie coach like JJ Redick? What are you looking to see as far as how his season progresses and how the team will look because of it?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that for any coach, JJ has no coaching experience, but for any coach, when you're into a new organization, a new team, and I think you're even a coach that is existing, honestly, that has been with an organization for 5-10 years. There's the first 20 games or so of the season is full of flukes. It's the flukiest time of the year is the beginning of this season, where guys go off to hot 10th men are scoring 20 points a game. You have starters that are in slumps to be in the season. All sorts of fluky things happen the first 20 games or so. I'm looking at the core of the season. Once we're sort of past that mark, what has JJ instilled that has stuck? I think throughout the preseason, I've liked that he's put guys in better places to succeed defensively. And whether they actually do succeed is more up to the player. But I think that they're in better positions where they're not set up to fail nearly as often as they were in a Darvin Ham defense. That has impressed me, and I think hopefully that continues throughout the season is something I'll be looking for. Like I said, the motion offense, I mean, that's the way the NBA is best played. We the most successful teams play that way. But it also goes to, guys can do a lot of everything on the court. If you have five guys that can dribble, pass, shoot, and defend, it's going to make running that sort of modern style of basketball a lot easier than having a bunch of guys that are sort of more one-way players. So um, I'm interested to see how JJ can set up guys to succeed. Whether those players succeed, I mean, it's part coaching. They have to set them up, but at the end of the day, it's the player that has to do the succeeding on the court. Hopefully, they can do that. But I think that JJ has positioned thus far. Obviously, it's preseason, so you can't take very much away from it at all. But um, I think thus far these guys are in a better place defensively. They're more caught up to a modern NBA offense. I don't think we're going to get much success out of it because of the talent level that we have, but I think it's set a foundation moving forward that we can build on, hopefully with different players as time goes on.
Doc Rivers was very adamant today in a press conference leading into today's game about how the Lakers treated Darvin Ham, in his opinion. Now, mind you, it is his assistant coach. It is a fraternity of coaches that all support each other when they do get fired. He's probably not going to go ahead and tell you the mistakes that Darvin Ham made when he was here. So it's not surprising he would say something like that. But I just think when it comes right down to it, Darvin Ham, the direction he was going, the fact that he had probably lost the team. I mean, there was nobody that was in support of him or nobody shedding a tear within the Lakers locker room, obviously, when he departed. And obviously you felt that and heard that at training camp, at press, at the media day. So when it comes right down to it, Stone, the team needed a direction. They couldn't get their first coach that they tried after. You already know about that debacle. They have JJ Redick now. Again, unproven coach, but this is a team that, despite our misgivings, despite the Lakers nation that's out there that wants this team to get another championship, I think inside, if you go to actually to a person or to a front office individual and El Segundo, I think they all realize that this team needs to take just a step forward. And that step forward doesn't have to be a championship in their eyes this season.
Yeah, and I mean the biggest thing is hopefully they can just sort of establish some sort of identity based on sort of the things I laid out with JJ and what I have hoped to see this season earlier. But they had no identity last year. They were just sort of on the court existing. There wasn't really an established identity of what they're supposed to do. A lot of times guys are confused. They're like looking at each other like, which way am I supposed to cut? Like it's sort of just a free for all on both ends of the court. So I think establishing roles, making sure you're maximizing what guys are best at, is some sort of identity. It establishes, it'll take on an identity of its own when guys are able to do what they do best. And JJ might be a way better coach than Darvin Ham. I don't know. I'm not ready to say he is yet, but he might be a way better coach than Darvin Ham. But we might not see that in the winning column because this team hasn't taken any steps forward in the talent sector of this franchise. There's teams that are probably going to leapfrog us because they got better throughout the off season. And the Lakers might be way better coached, but they might end up with the same or worse record by the end of the season because they just don't have the depth or talent to withhold, the opposition that they'll be going against. So I don't think we're going to get a very clear reading of how impactful JJ actually is over Darvin Ham throughout the course of this season, given the fact that he's starting with the same team that Darvin Ham had, but behind the eight ball because other teams got better than they were last year. So that's sort of my take on it. I think we'll see hopefully better things on the court, but it might not lead to better results at the end of the day.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen at report_court on Twitter. Always a great part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. Just so great to have him here talking basketball. The show is better. The channel's better when he's here and he's on it. And Joe's not. But we won't go into much of that. Kidding, everyone. Kidding. I know you guys love Joe and all that. So I just want to go. Well, I'm expecting a snarky remark in the chat here in about 10 to 15 seconds. But Stone, the last thing I want to cover, obviously the thing that we've tried to avoid here for the first 26 minutes of this podcast, but it is Joe's favorite part of the show, the family fun part of the show, in regards to Bronny James. And LeBron James, the way he was talking, and the reason why a lot of us have lower expectations is because the way they're talking themselves, especially LeBron himself, about the expectations for this team and for him this season. He said he's just, it sounds like he's just happy to be here in his 22nd season, and he's just really just enjoying things right now and just so thrilled just to have his son by his side on the team. No mention of a championship. It took other players to mention that the goal should always still be a championship. So it just seemed like, I think that they're even reticent to believe that this team does not have those higher aspirations. But Bronny James still keeps the media right squarely in El Segundo and with Los Angeles. So with that said, my friend, you have seen already some of the Bronny James experiments so far. I know, Joe, I was absolutely ticked off that I actually used it as a subject as a whole on Monday. But you know what? He's got to deal with it because people are still talking about it. There's still article after article on it. ESPN did a full page bio about how many GMs behind the scenes are saying that he's not an NBA player. Things that we've already seen. Your thoughts on Bronny James at this point? You've actually been a little kinder as far as his possible future than Joe or myself and others. Your thoughts on Bronny James so far as we speak here in the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was a two-way talent, where I guess maybe some people didn't, but at the end of the day, like I think I had him right around where he was picked at 55 on my board. Like that's, and in this class, this was a pretty weak class to me. I thought he was a top 60 player. That does not mean that I think he's an NBA caliber player, because I don't think there's 60 NBA caliber players in every draft. There isn't in any draft. But I think I don't think he solely got picked. I think he got picked by the Lakers because LeBron and his dad. But I think if another team had picked him, he would have his play would have warranted it in this specific draft. I think that some other team picked him at 55. If it was the Timberwolves or something, I don't think most people would have a problem with it, because I think he's a top 55 caliber player in this specific draft. But that doesn't mean I think he warrants the. This is a different situation. Obviously, he's on the Lakers. His dad is on the team. That obviously drove the Lakers to pick him. I'm not going to deny that. But I think that the whole media thing is ridiculous. It's very reminiscent of Zion in his draft. If people remember, Zion Williamson coverage was just out of control. They had a literal Zion cam during games where they had the game small, and then they had Zion's sitting on the bench at times or drinking water during huddles. That was like the big part of the screen. It's just ridiculous. And this isn't Bronny doesn't get to pick the name on the back of his jersey, but I'm sure they knew this was coming. They knew this was going to happen. And yeah, I think it's cool. I think that he gets to play with his dad. I think that was something we've never seen before. I think that's kind of cool. I don't think it warrants all of this ridiculous media attention. And the best way I've sort of gone about this is just, I don't pay attention to it. I don't listen to it. I don't read it. I get notifications on my phone and I just clear them off. I don't care that Bronny just checked into a game. I don't care that Bronny just sat down on the bench. It doesn't do anything for me. And I think that people that are frustrated by it or annoyed by it, that's sort of just the best course of action. Is the only reason they're doing this every time with the media is because it gets the attention, it gets the clicks, it gets people talking about it. And I think the best way to get that sort of dissipated throughout the season is just not to not to care about it, just ignore it. I think that if we just ignore, every single second of Bronny's existence, we don't have to pay attention to what he eats in the morning, how he gets to work, what he calls his dad at practice. Like, that stuff's irrelevant. And I think if we just stop caring about the people that are talking about it, it starts to go away, because the reason they're doing it is people do talk about it. People do click on those notifications. People do read those articles, because it has Bronny in the headlines. And the more credence we give it, the more they're going to do it. They're just clickbaiting you, and you're giving them the interactions by reading those articles, by doing those things. So I think ignoring those people and those outlets is just the best way to go about it. Um, and look, if Bronny gets onto the court in the first game, if he's on the court for 3 or 4 minutes, I don't really care, because, like I said, this team's not going to win. I don't think Bronny playing a couple minutes in game one is going to ruin the chances of the Lakers winning a championship, because those chances don't exist to me. But I also don't think he should be on the court because he doesn't, his play doesn't warrant it right now. I think there's at least 12 better players on the roster that are deserving of minutes over Bronny, and I don't think the fact that he's LeBron's son should make him an NBA player. I don't think that that's right. I don't think that he should be on the court because of the fact that his dad is LeBron. So that's sort of my take to it. I think there's more nuance to just saying he shouldn't be in the NBA and should get no attention, because he's going to get attention. We all knew this coming in. It's just a matter of how much credit you give it, and I think that should be zero. I think that people should just ignore it and not care about what Bronny does every waking second of his life.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen at report_court on Twitter. Again, always great to have him here, Stone. And we got PTS. Obviously, he's one of those individuals that is just seeing things that are not there, in my opinion, in regards to Bronny James. His heart issues aside, yeah, it's courageous that he has been able to put himself, first of all, that he's alive, that he's well, and that he's playing the game that he loves. That's an absolutely fantastic story. But not everybody who's had a heart attack is ready to go ahead and play in the NBA that comes back. It's just that simple. And with that, before I bring Joe into it, I want to say this again. He has been absolutely abysmal the entire summer league and in preseason. He was embarrassing playing against Phoenix the other day with what, 4 turnovers, 3 fouls, 13 minutes, just absolutely just just things out there that you saw that not even players at an undrafted level would do face with that situation. It's setting him up for failure. And that's what I'm very sad about. It's the fact that that the whole conglomerate of people behind Bronny James have pushed him to a point where he is absolutely not ready for and may never be ready. BTS says he still sees Lou Dort 2.0. I don't know how, because there's nothing that this season so far in the summer or in the preseason that have shown he's anywhere close to being an NBA player, much less to the level of Lou Dort 2.0, Stone.
No, and I mean, look, Lou Dort, I think, is a horrific offensive player. I think he's a really good defensive player, though, and Bronny's just not that. Um, might he be someone that can come in for 2 minutes and play, get a couple deflections or something? Maybe in a few years. That's sort of my
Well,
the
they have
highest
4 up to 4. So.
highest of expectations, right? Like Davion Mitchell is still way above Bronny as a defender, in my opinion, and Davion's almost out of the league. He's probably on his last legs. So, no, I don't think Bronny is that. I don't think people should put that on him. He got picked 55th. He's a 55th pick. He's not a lottery pick. He's not someone that you should be expecting to play big minutes to provide a lot for your team. And when he fails, I think that that's totally expected of someone that is taken in the 50s because, and especially rookies. Most rookies suck. Most players taken in the 50s suck and don't end up lasting in the league. And that's pretty much my expectation for anybody that's taken in the 50s or most of the time even in the second round.
Also here, just jumping in for the final few minutes of the show, good man indeed. He will be heading up our awesome playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break live coverage of the Bucks and the Lakers preseason game. It is Joe Sorrell, aka Oxide247, LakersBall.com, and his company Simblades. Joe, great to have you here. I know you wanted to be part of what we're doing with Stone because it's always great to welcome Stone back into the fold. What's going on, my friend?
So Stone, are you gonna be on more?
I don't know. I just got a new job, so I don't know what is happening right now in terms of what my schedule will be looking like. But as the season starts, I'll be on occasionally.
What's the job, if you don't mind me asking?
At an airport, doing tarmac work.
I've done that before. The work was an interesting one, and I wish I'd had the business acumen then. There was a company called Bags that, and of course it was before 9/11, where you could check your bag in at the local hotels and resorts, and you didn't have to take your bag all the way to the airport. It was an absolutely brilliant operation, but it was at its infancy, so there was a lot of issues with computers and printing tags and all that. And for the first time and the only time in my life, I had access to an airport. It was kind of interesting going through the security system. And the best thing I learned in that whole situation, besides the business, was a gentleman named Gurney. He was an English guy, and he had been in that industry for almost 50 years. He knew more about American history and American laws and amendments and Bill of Rights, all that stuff, than any American, that for sure.
Oh, wow.
And he told me something hilarious. He told me about the fact that when they voted on what language to speak in America, I guess Germany was second, German. And we would have been, if we got 6 more votes had gone the Germans' way, would be talking German right now. Kind of cool. I met a gentleman who was not anybody I ever expected, and all of a sudden you learned all this stuff. And then of course you learned a little bit about how the airport world works. It's I do have one thing to say. Again, I don't know what your specific job description is, but the last 2 times, can you tell somebody over there to be, just I don't have to like gently put my bag down. Can you at least have some care?
Yeah.
My tags broke.
Oh, man.
I bought broke.
Yeah.
And I finally gave up. I said, I'm just going to use that Southwest one that looks like it fiddles away after a few runs. But yeah, so good luck with that. And again, we want you to be here more because we're going to need more. We're going to need more backup. And your calming presence is a good balance between my erratic stuff and Gerald's, flowers and roses in the air and hoping for good things to happen out of nowhere.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I appreciate being back. Yeah, I'll be on occasionally.
That's funny.
Please blast, Brian.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah, I don't know what my situation is looking like, and I don't know as far as upside swings what our situation is looking like there. So there's a lot up in the air. I don't have a definitive schedule, and I'm still sort of taking it easy, sort of easing myself into the new season. So yeah.
Well, we're always here for you, my friend. We're always.
See, I told you, Gerald can't help himself.
Shut up.
Yeah, but I'll be here to break up your guys' banter here and there. I don't know exactly the specifics yet.
You just tell us.
The banter is tailored around what's continually getting worse, which is the constant. I don't even think it's banter anymore. It's just what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank here. The realization of who we are cheering for. It's getting louder and louder, and it's hurting more and more.
Yeah.
AD, I honestly don't know what I would do. AD's been one of the few guys that's kind of balanced it a little bit, because cheering for LeBron James becomes harder and harder the more I almost a daily occurrence.
It's just not a team that is going to go far. And I think people watching the Lakers, you're going to be a whole lot less disappointed when your expectations are not that of a deep postseason run. I don't even think they're going to make the postseason. But if you do think that, then don't expect to get further than the first round. Like, it's just, that's what this team is, and you have to take it for what it is. And I think that hoping for, all these, for great health, for JJ to come in and immediately revolutionize this team, for other teams to have bad health, like all these things have to go perfect and right for any sort of existing chance. That's even to get like a 10% chance to win the championship. Like, this is just not a team that is going to do it. And I think that when you come to the realization of that, you can enjoy basketball more, because when you're hoping for something to exist when it just doesn't have the possibility of doing that, then you're going to be let down. But I think when you approach the season for what it is, you're just going to be able to enjoy what you see on the court a little bit more. And I think that is going to make people's lives easier. If you want to root for a championship, most people are Laker fans or probably Dodger fans, so watch the Dodgers instead.
I would say some of that is correct, Stone, but it's not all the way correct. And I'll give you an example. The 95 Lakers. This team had Cedric Ceballos, Eddie Jones, Sedell 3, Nick Van Exel. Heck, even Kurt Rambis was on that team. I think that was his last year. Anthony Peeler, George Lynch, Eldon Campbell, Vlade Divac. We all knew. Every Laker fan knew that this team was not going to win a championship. Okay? And did those guys ball? And we're talking about Nick Van Exel's a guy that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. But I think at that time, when you look at it now, it would have been nothing. But he didn't become a problem until 98 when, he was around Shaq, and Shaq got pissed for him not taking the loss seriously when they lost to Utah in the playoffs. But that 95 team especially, and there were other teams before and after that we were very proud of, they played their hearts up, man, and we cheered for those guys. We cheered for Sedell 3. We cheered for Eddie Jones. We were very happy, and they actually came through sometimes when they shouldn't have. They beat a very good Seattle team. They took the Spurs, who were to kind of the brink, and we appreciated that. The hard part right now isn't about them not winning. It's the people that are there. I can't stand these people. I really can't. And every time I kind of calm down about it, it's like it comes again. It just keeps coming and going and going. And I'm not trying to say that Jerry West didn't have some fault in what happened with the organization. From what I heard, Jerry probably burnt out from Jerry's competitiveness. Go ahead, Gerald.
I just want to comment. What you're talking about is the lead article on today's ESPN NBA coverage about the fallout, and some Baxter Holmes report on Jerry West and his fallout with the Lakers, and how it's a little bit more detailed than even we knew about here as Lakers fans.
I did say this to a friend of mine. You all know him. His name is Sean Grice. Yes, I have spoken to Sean. He's doing well. And I talked to him for a little bit about you can't be a common sense person and veer always in one way. You have to be careful of that, because you can get caught up. There is some truth, without a doubt, even though I know it wasn't there, but there have been enough research, and there's been some guys that I've heard on YouTube and TV say certain things that made sense. I'm not basing the show on any of this, even though a lot of times those shows are actually correct. They embellish it, but a lot of it is true. Like the whole thing with Chick. Chick was an asshole, and we should do a show about that. And I can vouch for that just based off Laker line in the 90s. Oh my God, Chick Hearn was a dick on the phone. And I was in the car sometimes, and people would call into Lakers Live before the game, and he just destroyed people on there. I was like, damn, man. And at the time, I was used to Chick being Fletch. I just moved to San Diego. I didn't see games or hear Chick a lot, except on TV every now and then and from movies. So I was just like, damn, man, Chick said kind of mean. So forward to kind of what happened with Jerry. And in the end, they just, if he was such a jerk to work with, okay, I get it. You don't want him back. You don't want to deal with that headache. But you text his wife at night to tell him he doesn't have season tickets. If you had called him and said, Jerry, I'd like to talk to you. We're not going to give you any tickets anymore. I would have sort of had a little respect for you. I still would have been kind of irritated by it. Like, dude, that building is his. He created that. He's like one of 3 guys that created that. Your pops created it. The other was Magic. And then Kobe and Shaq kind of extended it, right? Because you can't start with the Lakers dynasty without Dr. Bus and Magic. That's just what it is. They were the roots, and then Kobe and Shaq ended up being the Redwoods, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, I know how to converse with people. I know communication. I know I've been with people who I don't want to be around, but guess what, folks? I still answer the phone. The only difference is I tell them. This happened 3 months ago. There's a guy I was working with. Complete asshole. And not an asshole like me. Like, I'm an asshole for fun and to tell the truth. This guy's just a piece of shit. And I told him, I said, he's trying to chum up again like the manipulators do. And I said, yes, I don't mind you sending me work. There's only a couple stipulations I have. One, I want all your work done. Every single thing that you have going on there, because turf is real easy to schedule because it's always going to be the last thing to do. And I said, do what you got to do. Put the cement in, put the walls in, put the flowers in, do all that shit. And then as soon as you're done there, then call me. And second, I don't want you anywhere near that area. I want you to refer me, and I'll talk to the customer. I don't want you just tell the customer, hey, I'm going to do this. And what I'll do for you is you tell me what you want out of the deal, and I'll pay you ahead. It's $1,000. If it's 1,000 square foot area, 10 G's. What do you want out of that? Well, can I get 10%? Absolutely. Here's $1,000. Thank you for the job. As soon as she signs, I'll give you $1,000. Fuck off. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to even know you exist. The only thing that's going to be between the job and the customer is me. That's it. I don't want to hear you. I don't want you going over there and doing all the dance and singing. And see, this is the kind of stuff, guys, that when you do things face-to-face or at least direct, you're never really going to lose in the future. Your credibility, your reputation. You're not going to be that asshole who basically shit on Jerry West till he passed away. And you owe everything, almost everything to that guy. 1960, folks, 1960, Jerry West has been relevant. And everything we've been saying here it's being confirmed left and right. We're here, guys. We pay attention to this stuff. This is what we do.
And it's just childish pettiness. Like,
Absolutely.
Wes can afford to buy his own tickets, and the Lakers, it's not costing them a dime in the grand scheme of things to pay for his season tickets. It's just simply to send a message, and it has nothing to do with money. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. I'm not a big fan of ownership. I obviously very critical of management. But as long as they make the right moves, I can get past that. But the fact is, the Lakers, Dr. Buss set up the, soothe your superstar mentality within this organization, and it does come back to bite us at times. It came back to bite us on Kobe's last contract. It's coming back to bite us in this transitionary period of we should be letting LeBron and AD go, but we're going to hang on to the very end until the wheels fall off of this thing. And we have to we're starting from a lower level than we would if we, were to move on from them. This team, there's flaws just in the philosophy of treat your superstars and bend to their every wish. And, as much as I think Jeannie makes a lot of mistakes and stuff, and she does, and I think she's one of the worst owners in the NBA. I do have, Dr. Buss is the one that I think sort of set that mentality into place. Not to say that there's a lot of other things he didn't do great and make this, a dynasty or relevant championship, but that's just one thing that does come back to haunt us, every time we go through this sort of transitionary period of, eventually the superstar we have isn't going to be there forever. It's just the way that life works. And when LeBron phases out, we have no one to, and if AD were to ask out, there's nobody to hand that mantle to. There's nobody that we have that can, we can build our franchise around. I think Connect's going to be a good player. Like I said, I think he's going to be a solid player. He's not someone I'm going to prioritize as a top 1, 2, or 3 player on my franchise for the next 20 years, most likely. So I just think that philosophy eventually comes back to bite you. But it does pay off in certain ways as well. We probably wouldn't have LeBron and AD if it weren't for that mentality. So there's give and take with it. I just think it's important to make sure we see both sides of it.
Don't forget, Joe will be coming up here in a few minutes in regards to tonight's game, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Join him for all the coverage. We're going to try and make it a simulcast before I head on out. Yes, I'll be in and out. Stone, are you going to join Joe for tonight's game?
I don't think tonight. I have to go run and get dinner and come back and eat it.
Eating is a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's about like 30 minutes away, so it's probably going to take a little while. But the next one is next week at some point, I believe, right? Early into next week, or is it this weekend?
Yes. I think it's this weekend.
Okay.
But I know that Crypto.com arena is being renovated right now. They're doing some quick renovations, so both the Kings and the Lakers have to be out for a few days. But yeah, I think
I'll try and I think there's one like Monday or Tuesday, so I'll try and be on for that one.
All right,
if I can make it.
All right, we'd love to have you back aboard. Truly, greatly appreciated. Joe, you heard his comments, though. We'll close with you, my friend, and Stone. We're going to close with you and Stone, going back and forth on Bronny. He's higher. He's always been higher on Bronny. Still sees the hope that Bronny James could materialize into something. You and I are clearly thinking no, and we're not haters.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to be anything. I think there's a 1% chance or so.
See, that's 1% more than us, but okay.
Yeah, but very likely he's not going to be an NBA player.
Joe, again, you and I have been really hard on this aspect, but he's probably going to get a lot more minutes tonight because I don't know if you heard me at the beginning of the show. I did mention that Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Cam Reddish, and Jordan Goodwin, who hasn't even been playing, will be on minutes restrictions, but LeBron and AD will be playing tonight. Your thoughts before we head on out, my friend?
The term minute restrictions to anyone other than LeBron and AD is comical. Everyone should be playing in this preseason game except for those two guys. And as far as Bronny James is concerned, it's probably going to be the only time Stone is ever going to be wrong.
I don't know. I'm not going to be wrong though, because I think
giving him 1% is going to be is going to be on his tombstone. I was right until this 1%.
Oh no, I've been wrong before. So I'm sure I'll be wrong again. I'm sure.
No, you told me what we were wrong on that last. What was a few months ago? That wasn't considered wrong.
Last thing I'll interject here, guys, is ESPN is reporting with Shams Charania now, a fixture now for ESPN. reporting that the Lakers are in the market to acquire another center as the season nears. Your thoughts, Stone, and then I'll hit you up, Joe, before we head
When did this happen?
He reported today.
Today?
Yeah, he's on all the shows because today is his debut day on ESPN, and that's what he wanted to drop because he knows that ESPN loves having any talk about the Lakers.
I mean, using what? Like what? It depend. It all depends
You
on
didn't
what you're
elaborate.
given. Right?
It was a very broad statement. So
I mean, if you're moving someone to someone that's more of a stopgap player to me, like Rui, to get a big man, then sure, I guess. But I don't think anyone they acquire at this point is going to really change the trajectory. Realistically, that they could acquire is going to change the trajectory of this team, right? And if that's the case, I don't want to use picks to do that because you're hurting your future for a lateral move, in my opinion. And it's not worth it to me to marginally increase from a 11th or 10th seed to a 7th seed. Like that's just not really going to make that much of a needle moving difference to me. So I'd rather just stay put or move someone like Rui or something.
I've already retweeted out there. If you want to see the full interview with Shams Charania on that from ESPN, it's on at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. Joe, I mean, it's the obvious. We've been talking about getting another big man for a while now. This is not exactly like earth-shattering news, but if it's, I guess, a re-emphasis, and they're saying there's now a focus by, after seeing what through preseason games and also training camps, things that we already knew. But the front office now has this renewed interest in doing so, supposedly, according to Shams Charania. I just think, man, these are things that you should have figured out all summer long.
So the Los Angeles Ifs will be playing here tonight. And if they can win tonight, they could maybe muster some enthusiasm. If everyone stays healthy this year, and if they're able to maybe enhance the roster without giving up too much in assets, whether draft or not, and if JJ Redick has a philosophy that can maintain performance as well as health, and if they can make the playoffs, hopefully a top 4 seed, so they can finally start at home during a run, which, when was the last time that happened? 2012?
Yes.
Think about that for a second, folks. 2012. When were you born, Stone?
In the 90s.
Yeah. What was the year? 98?
99.
99. So Stone was 13 years old.
You're hella old, Stone.
Just getting hair on his prick at this point. And that's when the last time the Lakers hosted a first-round playoff game.
I just love how he phrased that.
I remember those. I remember watching the terrible teams after that too, and I think that's where we're headed.
And we understood. We were look. You have to be realistic too. So this whole thing with Kobe's contract, you look back on those times, and you have to understand. You have to understand that. I would say maybe understand is the wrong word. I still was reeling from the Chris Paul trade. And rightfully so. Rightfully so, because they would have never been in that position had the NBA not vetoed that first deal. And again, still waiting for Jeff to set the show up so we can explain the trade or the veto trade, because apparently there's something that information he'd given me that wasn't what we think it is. So, but at the time, I was fairly upset, and it never went away. And for the Lakers to pay Kobe the money that they paid him, yeah, sure, it was a severance pay, but what else? They were losing anyways at that point. It didn't matter. They needed to get draft picks, and they did. And they were very fortunate in getting the number 2 pick three times, and they even picked a really good player at 7. The only problem is they missed on 2 of those 2 second overall picks because they didn't really do their job. They didn't get Tatum. They didn't get who would they have picked if it wasn't was it Jaylen Brown instead of Ingram?
Yeah, it would have been Jalen.
So imagine.
I think that's a close one though. I think you can make the case for Ingram over Brown, but I think, and at the time I had Lonzo too, and I think he was such a weird player that I think the Lakers completely misused and misthought of who he was as a player. He was never a point guard. He was always a wing that could do a lot of things off the dribble, but he was never supposed to be your main table setter. And I think the Lakers, it comes back to setting their players up for failure. I think they set him up for failure. Injuries happened, things happened. I'm not saying he would have been better than Tatum because I had Tatum 3 and I didn't expect Tatum to be what he is. But I think they did miss, yes, but I think that Lonzo could have been a franchise type piece had things gone differently. But I agree that was in retrospect the wrong pick.
Well, with that, it is tonight the Bucks and the Lakers. LeBron and AD are playing. Austin Reeves is sitting out the game. Also, as well, of course, the minutes restriction I mentioned for Gabe Vincent, for Max Christie, Cam Reddish, and Jordan Goodwin. Lakers will start Max Christie.
Who said this?
The reports from the coach, JJ Redick, said he's.
What if
Did anybody ask him why he's got minutes restrictions for these guys?
Maybe it's a reverse minutes restriction. He's restricting them to 0 minutes, and they get no time on the court.
We're just in the preseason, guys.
They're so bad that he doesn't want to see them on the court.
It's going to be a bumpy ride, and I'll leave it with that. But once again, it is Stone Hansen at report_court. Stone, you're welcome back anytime. You just hit me up whenever you're ready. We always love to hear your thoughts. If you're a member already for just $2.99 a month, you know his season predictions. I just dropped it today for those members.
Laker fans will not be happy.
Well,
they usually aren't with me. I'm not going to say too much.
That's even the most optimistic is not optimistic on the Lakers this season from what I've seen so far. Just spoilers for everyone out there. But Joe, you're heading up the playback coverage in a minute. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I got it already started for you. Just hop on whenever you can. I'll be back later in the game, so I will join. And then you and I are doing the post game here after the game. So John Costa was asking if you're doing a nightcap as well. That's up to you, my friend. You may want to go ahead and moan and groan.
Yeah, they want it. The people want it. You give the people what they want.
You could really go off on the Jerry West article that was by Baxter Holmes today if you want on that.
I just feel that we're just reiterating what we've already known. It's just more popular when ESPN posts it. We've been talking about this for months.
Yeah.
We were already in this. It's beautiful that this stuff came out now because now we just got validated. And if this team goes the way Stone has predicted, there's even more validation. But that's a terrible validation in the end because it should be obvious. It should be obvious.
Yeah.
That's like saying, Joe, we have a rabid pit bull outside. So don't make sure your kids aren't out there. Okay. And then getting a pat on the back. Hey, good job not having your kid go out there with a rabid pit bull out there ready to eat your children. Well, I mean, that's common sense, isn't it? Yep. I think we've become this 12th place. They predict it. A lot of, this is a great thing about movies. They predict things and you don't even know it. The Simpsons, all these shows. 12th, what was it? 9th place in Meet the Fockers. 9th place awards. At the time, they're laughing about it. But now, if you ask Robert De Niro what he thinks about that, he'd be like, yes, that's 9th place. Good job.
Darren said, Stone, I time people out for complaining about Loeb's last contract. So, Loeb's.
Who's Loeb's?
LeBron James.
Maybe I don't know.
Larry O'Brien.
I'm not familiar with Loeb's.
Yeah, I was
Larry
just,
O'Brien.
I don't know.
LeBron.
You said Lobes. I don't know.
Yeah,
what that
so I
is.
didn't know who that was. So I was hoping that was between you and Darren. But Johnny says Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Joe and a young star with 2 numbers
Is Derek
for
Fisher
AD.
the best 6'2" defender?
Yeah, the
I'd be
number
very
ones.
happy if we
Probably
got Chet.
not. Probably not. And Fish is closer to 6 feet,
Oh,
less. He was, though. He was, give him credit, between 96 when he got drafted and that foot injury in 2001. He wasn't a bad defender then. As soon as that foot thing happened, he became a great shooter because all he did was shoot at that time. In 2001 San Antonio series, he hit 15 of 20 3-pointers in that series, and pretty much, Kobe, of course, and Shaq did their thing, but Fish was the third best player in that series, and he absolutely murdered them. After that, Fish couldn't guard a telephone pole.
Should Fish get his jersey retired? I feel like he should.
He'd have to be a Hall of Famer, which he won't be.
I think that's the requirement.
It is.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Before we head on out, one last question. It was put up there by Johnny Nevermind. Great to have you here. New face.
That's a great name.
Yes. We always love having new faces here. He said, would you take AD, traded to OKC for Holmgren? Was it Isaiah Joe and 2 number 1s coming up, Stone?
Oh, no question. I would, in a heartbeat, would not think about it.
I'd say throw in the Bruiser Williams, not the good Williams, because you're probably not going to get the good Williams in that deal. Maybe if you could get the good Williams, absolutely. But the Bruiser Williams, just to add some beef inside for yourself. Yeah, I'd take that.
If it was Chet and the number 1 pick, I'd take that. I don't even need the rest.
Wow.
Check and a non-protected one in 2025. I do it like this.
Yeah,
but
no
not
question.
the OKC, not the OKC.
Send LeBron, but you
one
got
of their other
somewhere too.
Joe, one of their other 25 picks, not the OKC pick, because the OKC pick is going to be bad next year. It's one of their other picks, Stone.
Correct.
I think you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer that, but I would definitely think on the OKC pick and Chet for AD.
Because that might fall at number 30.
This is a team that is headed towards the end quickly with their 2 older guys. And if you don't have somebody to put your franchise on, you're going to end up with a franchise that is in no man's land like we were in 2014 and 2015.
And with that, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. We're shutting down here for the pregame, but we're coming right back at you here, Joe, in a few minutes on Playback, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, and also as well going through the simulcast on YouTube as well. Stone, great to have you here. You hit us up when you can. Please, we'd love you having part of the show. And Joe, the night is yours, my friend. I'll be back hopefully by second quarter. See if I can do to join you there. We'll I'm on a minutes restriction during the game, so you know what? The Lakers might be as well. So there you go. All right, guys.
Everybody's texting me about my hair, so I can't have one hair down.
No, only
Superman.
Only when we're mocking Rob Pelinka. Then.
Man, I ran into that show we did where my hair was down. That was hilarious.
Yeah. We
Just wear a Lakers hat. I put one on because I'm like, my hair is ridiculous right now. I'm just putting a hat on.
Mine, unfortunately, cannot be saved, but I digress. It is, of course, crazy. The Lakers Fast Break.
What's wrong with your other hair? Just don't take your hat off.
It's long right now, and
yeah, all right, yeah. Problems of youth.
It's easier to put a hat on.
Look, man, there's worse things that it could be. You could have a shoehorn for a head.
Or you could have it all gray like mine, but need I digress. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break.
Well, you're in your mid-50s. That's what happens.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Yes, that's true. But it is, of course, Joe, coming up right here in just a few minutes on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. The post game is coming up right after, and maybe even a nightcap from all of us right here. Stone, great to have you part of what we're doing right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Shut up, Joe.
This should be our theme.